It wasn't pretty, man, but the Mountaineers absolutely smashed Pitt on both sides of the ball to come out of the backyard brawl with a 17-6 win in what was one of the ugliest games I've seen as a fan of West Virginia. That being said, man, it is so sweet to beat those guys heading to a little hiatus with the backyard brawl. Holla if you hear me, right? If you're not happy, you're not a fan. There's a lot of critiques to be made. I get that. There are going to be critiques made. The offense is an issue. We all understand that. The defense really bowed up and stood up against a team that struggled 2 weeks in a row. I don't think anybody thinks that Pitt's offense is world beaters. With that said, got a lot to be proud of tonight, guys. And whether whether you want to believe it or not, Pitt does have some good playmakers on offense as far as the receiver position goes. They just don't have somebody to deliver them the ball. And I thought our secondary, namely Beanie Bishop, Aubrey Burks, and Malachi Ruffin there at the end, all really played extremely well. I think they really answered the call. Physical on both sides of the ball. But you get to reading some of these stats, guys. It's 11-11. You better wish on that 11-11 that things improve because I don't know. I mean, next week's going to be a major challenge. This is going to be the kind of teams that have given us problems in the past, and Texas Tech coming up next week. Let's look at some of the stats really quick before I give our sponsor a shout out. So Deco Marchiol versus the Pitt quarterback. I always want to call him Jerkovich. Jerkovich. Jerkovich was 8 for 20 with for 81 yards and 3 interceptions. So you probably will not be the starter next week. I would be shocked if Christian Ballou from Penn State was not the starter come next week for them. Nico Marchiol was 6 for 9, 60 yards and a touchdown. He wasn't asked to do anything really more than that. I was proud of him. He was thrown into a situation in the biggest game of his life, in the old Browns' life, and he performed pretty well under the circumstances. He only got to throw 9 balls, so it's not like there was more out there for him to really do. There was the one mishandled snap, which needs to be cleaned up, but that's you can attribute that to. He doesn't get starts, or he doesn't get a lot of reps with the first team. Neil Brown said that in the post game. He just don't get reps with the first team. So, of course, they're going to be a little out of sync. Don't know what's going to happen with Garrett Green from here. It was extremely sad to see him go out like that. I was not happy with the reporting of ESPN or ABC to peek through the window like that and say that he was crying. That was a personal moment for Garrett Green, and I just felt like he needed that to himself and not on national TV. I don't know if anybody else agrees with that, but I really didn't like the fact that they reported he was crying in the locker room. I mean, if you've ever been an athlete, you ever played your last senior night, if you ever played your last home game, we've all probably cried at some point in time. I have. But it's still not something that as men we don't really like to be called out, especially in national TV. So I don't think that was a cool thing to do. C.J. Donaldson was an absolute dude again tonight. I continue to worry about his lower legs, guys. He is not used to playing running back, and the durability for a running back is different from any other position on the field, and you take a lot of hits in your lower extremities. And I see people on there clamoring for him to get the ball more, but I think what people don't understand is his body, although he's been training it to be a running back for a little over a year now, is still not used to taking the entire. He's not an Adrian Peterson that can tote the rock 30 times a game yet. He's just not. So, and Jalen Anderson performed well in spots, but CJ obviously is the best back on this team. I think we all know that. 18 carries is plenty, guys, for CJ. He got 102 yards and a touchdown. He and Cole Taylor, in my opinion, are the two offensive MVPs of this game. Cole Taylor had a ton of blocks on that counter motion they were running with the running back tight end combos that they ran that thing 2 or 3 different times each direction. So I thought that was interesting. Obviously, the offensive line was absolutely dominant tonight. I mean, can't ask for much more. The other team knows you're going to run the ball, and they still can't stop you. In the past, we would have been effed tonight, guys. There's no way in the past we could have ran the ball under Dana Holgerson or whatever, and people knew we were going to do it still in most scenarios. So if we can just develop any semblance of a passing attack, it doesn't have to be anything major, guys. 200 yards a game. I think we've got a chance to be really good in 5 or 6 games. I don't know that we have the playmakers on offense at the wide receiver and tight end spots. Well, obviously Taylor he's good. They just have to scheme him up some more opportunities. But I'm not sure about the rest of the guys. And I think, Garrett going out maybe isn't fair to judge them tonight. I get that too. The defense guys, I think, at the end of the day, they won the day, right? Beanie Bishop absolutely balled out tonight. Aubrey Burks absolutely balled out tonight. Lee Kova absolutely balled out tonight. Travius Layson absolutely balled out tonight. And Vitorma Malba absolutely freaking balled out tonight in the middle. Mike Lockhart absolutely freaking balled out tonight. The defense, there are so many guys that you may have known about, but you didn't know how they were going to perform before the season. And these dudes are all turning into dudes, right? Extremely impressed. I'm still a little worried about Anthony Wilson on the back end. He really got shook by Mumfield. Had he not grabbed Mumfield's face mask, that's a touchdown. If Jerkovich makes the throw. I still call him Jerkovich. If Jerkovich would have made the throw, but Mumfield shook Anthony Wilson on like a little hitch and go where he faked the post to the pylon and brought it back inside. He really turned him around. I continue to worry about Wilson in those spots. But other than that, not a whole lot to really critique, right, guys? At the end of the day, I think we're just happy to win the backyard brawl. Let's get to some comments here. Also, guys, don't forget the super chat button is down below. If you don't mind, donate to the show. We'll certainly be grateful. If you're excited about winning the backyard brawl and you want to donate because of that, hey, I'll take that too. This is my full-time job, guys, and I truly appreciate when you guys help out if you can. I understand you always can't. Let's give the sponsor for this show a shout out just really quick, guys. This episode of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football is brought to you by Dutch Miller Automotive, where friends and family pricing can get you the best deal right up front on any new or pre-owned vehicle in stock every time. With brands like Chevrolet, Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, Jeep, Hyundai, Ford, GMC, Buick, and Subaru, the Dutch Miller Automotive family is always growing and ready to get you in the car or truck you've been searching for. Check out our inventory across West Virginia at DutchMillerAuto.com, or you can go to the website at DutchMillerAuto.com. Curtis D316, I've seen you on here. You think you were the first people in here. He said if Neal doesn't design some plays that at least medium throws is not going to end well. I understand that, man. I just think you got to understand, dude. I'm not saying you don't understand, but Nico was in a bad spot tonight. He's in a, the guys he played with all week were probably first teamers. He probably impersonated Jerkovich all week for the defense. So to say that he had very little experience in what the game plan was going to be is probably an understatement. Now, thankfully, you don't have to change much from Garrett Green and Nico Marchiol. So, but I get what you're saying. Would like to have seen some of the throws that we had with JT in this offense last year before he just completely just fell apart. And now he balls out with Rice like it never happened. Frustrating. If he's healthy, no way Garrett Green doesn't start. See, I'm in the camp now, guys. I mean, is there really that much difference between them? I think Garrett offers a little bit more on the legs for sure. But I feel like Nico played well when called upon tonight. The major difference between them, I guess you could say, was tonight at least, it looked a little bit too big for Nico at times. I think it was moving fast for him. But the upside with Nico is still a lot greater. And I don't think anybody can argue that. So at this point in time, because there's such a lack of a passing attack, obviously what do you do? Because at the end of the day, I've said it. You can ask Coos, you can ask anybody. I said it leading up to the season, and I've said it on every show in which this was a topic. I don't believe Garrett Green will ever, 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 ever stay healthy in a design quarterback run system. That's just my personal belief. He's 5'11", 200 pounds. Now, I don't mind him scrambling when the time comes if they're in zone or man, or if they clear out man and there's a wide open valley for him to run through, or whenever he desires to run. But the design quarterback runs are going to get him hurt. It did tonight, and I just don't think they're good for a player of his size and stature. Nico's got a little bit more meat on his bones, is a little bigger, and able to take that pounding just a little bit more. Still wouldn't want to do it all the time. That's just my personal opinion. I'm certainly not a coach or anything like that, but I have, I don't like to be an I told you so kind of guy, but I said it for months and months that I feel like Garrett has durability issues. And I think we have to think about that going forward, guys. Yeah, he had a couple awesome passes. Look, he was 6 for 9, right, in a touch. And he did what they asked him to do tonight. They didn't ask him to do a lot, you know. And it's very similar to the Oklahoma State game, right? Great running game. He threw a couple slant passes. It's pretty much the same deal, right? So they have to expand upon it in some way, shape, or form. Let me get to the super chat, guys. Thank you, the H27, for the 499 super chat, man. It means a ton. He said, I know Pitt was bad, but still impressed with the defense, including the back end. Nico's okay when he settled down. Listen, I think our defense deserves an apology from a lot of people. Think about this, guys. One of the better schemers in America is definitely those cats over at Penn State. They're as a coaching staff, they have an elite staff, and James Franklin is very well known to be able to scheme up things. Right, they had an entire offseason to prepare for what we do. So, and Drew Aller continues to look like a bona fide, possibly, maybe not this year, but maybe next year, definitely the year after, top 5, top 10 type of quarterback as far as physical tools go. So I don't think there's any shame in what he did to us. I think, had we played them tonight, though, I think our defense has really come a long way in the last 2 games. Right. I just don't think I just don't think he'll ever stay healthy with that. Thank you, John Kent. I think we did too, man. We definitely represented the Big 12 well tonight in front of a national television audience, right? On a night in the Big 12 was looking pretty bad. Does anybody know how that Oklahoma State game turned out? I'd like to know how that turned out. They were getting absolutely dog walked by, I think, was it South Alabama? Average Cody, thanks for the comment. Not super familiar with you in the section here, so if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, man. But if Garrett Green's out next week, do I think they'll open it up for Nico? I think they could run the ball in Texas Tech. We'll see. We'll see. But I'd say that he's going to throw more than 9 passes for sure. And you have to go into this one. Texas Tech is way more talented on offense than what we just faced. So I think you've got to go into this game coming up this week thinking you've got to get close to 30, right? So I don't know if we can do that running the. One thing that's been really frustrating for me this year is we do really well in the run game. We break off these 7 and 8, 10, sometimes 15-yard chunks, but the lack of explosive plays, guys. And it's almost like, sometimes they trip, sometimes like earlier tonight, Jalen was about to break one and he cut inside and the defender beat his man inside. Other than that, I think it was Devonshire again too. I think Jalen Anderson was gone on a run earlier today. What's up, misplaced hillbilly? Um, yeah, I agree. He did have a couple bad ones. You also had a good one, if you'll remember, at the very end of the game on third down that kept a drive alive that really helped seal the game. So, I think he'll learn. No, CJ didn't go back in, Krista. I'm not sure what happened. I think he could have, but the game was semi in hand by that point. So I think they decided not to get him hurt. Yeah, proud of CJ. No, he didn't want. All right. It seems like CJ's hurt a lot. Yeah, I say that too. He unfortunately is still learning how to be a running back, and he's so big that players go for his legs, his lower extremities so much, and that leads to injuries for him. Unfortunately, I don't know how you prevent it. He's just a physical kid. I would love to see CJ involved in the passing game more often. You've never seen his Gulliver Prep highlights. He's an extremely good route runner, and would probably be the best tight end on this team. Um, I would really line him up and play him tight end a little bit. I swear I would. They got killed. Jeez, is Alabama State that good? Lord have mercy. I'm not saying that they weren't in good position, but there was a couple times where he bailed them out too, like throwing Leighton over the middle. Was one on an interception. One he missed. The interception by Ruffin was just dun in my opinion. Matt Coos is at the game actually, so I doubt he'll be coming on, brother. Thanks, Rob. We appreciate that. Yeah, you guys trounced Illinois pretty good, although their defense played tough, I saw at times. Drew certainly played better against us, but that was in game one, so they lost 23-7. What's going on with Matt Campbell and Gundy? Two of the mainstays in the conference. We get all these teams to come from the Pac 12 to the Big 12, and all of a sudden we're going to fall off the map. Is that how it's going to work? Kansas State lost two to Missouri, didn't they? Yeah. So bad day for the Big 12. Well, Ron, so, you know, uh, Coach Brown said after the game, Nico didn't rep with the number one offense all week. So take that into account. Also, he just probably wasn't expecting to go in. I don't think anybody in that situation expect. You should be prepared, but the reality is that's not the truth. That doesn't happen every time. And so I think it all caught him off guard. He didn't even really have a chance to warm up. And like I said, his job this past week, from what I understand, was to imitate to the best of his ability Jerkovich, right? So that means he was doing Pitt's plays and not West Virginia's plays as much. So take all that into account, and that's probably why he seemed a little unprepared in that, and he's just young. He doesn't have a whole lot of starting experience, and um, at the end of the day, for all that considered, I felt like he played really well. Well, I apologize, Cody. I didn't, I've got so many subscribers now. I guess I just hadn't noticed your name hadn't burned in my brain yet. Maybe, if you've changed your profile pic, that could be why. Because I get used to seeing the profile pictures from people more than their names. I agree, Bass Hunter. Yeah, I saw that, Todd. Can't believe that Iowa State, I was rooting for them obviously because of the connection to the quarterback and Anthony Beck and everything, but oh well, and what's crazy is they looked good towards the end of the game too, offensively. That's weird. They threw a nice ball at the end of the game, scored a touchdown. Yeah, it's funny. The Alabama game makes you wonder now, is Texas fool's gold again? Alabama was what, late into the fourth quarter? It was a 3-3 game or something with South Florida. Unbelievable, man. Just college football is so weird. Well, I you don't have to have breakaway speed to get explosives. Explosives are anything over 20 yards. So, I'm not asking for him to house it, Matt. I'm just saying, 20, 30-yard runs, things like that are considered explosive plays. Did we even have an explosive play tonight? I can't think of one. Maybe we had one. Maybe the run by Jalen that almost broke would have been one. But we're going to have some explosive plays, and I hope this staff goes to work on that this week because it's for a guy that comes from the Hal Mummy raid offensive tree. I've never seen a Hal Mummy tree look like the way Neil Brown runs offense. I just haven't. What's up, WVURX, man? What a great night, fellas, to be up for a few hours. So I'm so pumped. Still, I'm so pumped. Already got the game cut, rendered, and uploading to YouTube as I type. All right, man. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed that. Hell no, I didn't mind it. CJ is so cool, calm, and collected all the time. He's like, he's very emotionless type player on the field usually. I mean, he does show some emotion every now and again, but I enjoyed seeing him really get fired up. It meant something tonight, guys. It meant something tonight. It's hard to say, you know. Um, I I think so. I think we would have won by probably another score as Garrett Green played the whole game. But then again, maybe Garrett throws a pick. It's just you never know what would have happened if we had tested their secondary. That's full of they've got a ton of old guys in their secondary. Maybe maybe it's a good thing we didn't test it. Cincinnati didn't either. They did the same thing we did. So with a pretty close to a similar score too. So I saw that he did support him. Yeah, Georgia looked shaky too. Yeah, I was hoping they learned some things on the mental side from JT Daniels. Right, he's known to be a cerebral type quarterback, a guy that's usually the smartest person in the room. And I was hoping he and Garrett really soaked up how to prepare from JT. But at the end of the day, practice and application, two different things. So hopefully they're doing that. Time will tell. But this offense has to improve, guys. I think we all understand that. If we want to get where we want to go, and I think a lot of us, think we can win 7, 8 games now. I've always been in the camp of 6 to 8 wins for this team, and I think it's possible. But we'll lose 4 or 5 close games if we keep playing offense like this. It's just I don't want to be negative. I'm super proud of the team. I'm super proud of everybody. I really am. But what is a post game without some negative commentary? Uh, and I don't know. I don't know if it's because we don't trust our quarterbacks, if it's the scheme, the vanilla play calling, a combination of all of it, the players. Maybe it's a combination of all of it. But everybody wanted Devin Carter, right? Everybody. It blows my mind that he's not a guy or hasn't been yet. Obviously, Garrett going down plays a factor in that tonight, and he didn't play last week. But time will tell what this offense is going to look like. Maybe it gets better as the season goes, and if it does, that's great. But what we don't want to do, this is what I worry about the most. Our defense has really been leaned on a lot, even in the Penn State game. And I just hope we don't get worn down towards the end of the season, and we don't have a reverse of what has happened with Neil Brown here in the last few years when he's been good the last 2 to 3 games of the year. So hopefully there's not the reverse of that. Yeah, I agree, brother. Golden Blue Dude would have loved this today. Um, Sad that we can't, enjoy this win with him. Uh, I would highly encourage you guys. I don't know if his brother and those people still do a show or not, but I do know that Golden Blue Dude's wife and kids were being supported off of whatever he was sent. If you ever get a chance to go over Golden Blue Dude's channel, send $5 or something. I'm sure those kids and his wife would be very appreciative of that. They were left in a really tough spot whenever he passed away so suddenly, so young. So uh, certainly would appreciate that, guys. And if you're not subscribed to Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, what are you doing? It's free, right? I'll be doing uh, a monthly thing here pretty soon where you can be members. What I'm going to offer with that, I'm tinkering around with a couple different options, guys. Maybe you can tell me in the comments what you want. You know, if you're the people in the comments can tell you if you're new around here. I don't lie about my sources, and I usually try to, if I can't always, but I have in the past posted screenshots of my conversations with certain people, whether they be insiders or players or media people, just to prove that I'm not lying so I can gain some credibility. So I think one of the things I was thinking about is when I get intel with the membership that I do, maybe like a $3.99 or a $5.99 membership. I'm not really sure how it works yet, guys. Those numbers may not be concrete, but one of the things I can do is once a month give you intel that either only the media is privy to or even I'm only privy to, because one of the things I do is I reach out to players myself. I do a lot of groundwork on my very own. Um, and sometimes players are more apt to talk to me than they are the media. It happens. Um, I posted on my timeline and Twitter today, or X, Golden Israel Chumba, left tackle for Penn State, told me before the season, and I'll post that again, that screenshot, that Fatora Moba was the stoutest run blocker or run defender on the Penn State defense last year before he transferred to West Virginia. And I knew about that way back in the summer. Just little things like that. If you're a nerd about West Virginia, those are the kind of things I can provide. Also, some of the things the media tells me, some things when I talk to coaches, as long as it was kept in the room, maybe we could talk about that. Just different things like that. I can't outsource this or anything like that. I don't have as many as like, the guys at Ear Sports or the guys at Rivals, but I do my thing. I agree, Krista. I would love to see us win 8 games. The thing we get into is, you know, was anybody really excited on offense tonight? And if we win 8 games, does that mean we have to keep seeing this? It's almost like a catch-22. I'll be happy for Neil Brown if he wins 8 games. I don't want to see a man lose his job. Nobody wants to see that. But does that mean that a lot of these things that we, as the fan base, are really kind of sick of, we're going to have to continue to deal with. I guess he would have earned it at that point, but I think some of you know what I'm saying. Players of the game, guys. I'll go back and talk about some of my players of the game. I felt offensively, obviously, first and foremost, the offensive line played extraordinarily well. I mean, we had less than a handful of tackles for loss tonight, if that. I mean, they really played well. They beat Penn State off the ball over and over and over again. C.J. Donaldson was obviously a dude, uh, and I feel like Cole Taylor really, really played well tonight in the run game, and when he was asked to do so, the pass game. Can't pass up Nico. I think it's been spoken on enough that he managed the game well. And then on defense, that secondary, but not only the secondary, I mean, you can go really deep with it if you want to talk about like 7 or 8 players. Just so many players did well tonight. Aubrey Burks, Malachi Ruffin played well. Beanie Bishop obviously was probably the star of the show. Uh, Fatoma Mulba, like we mentioned, Mike Lockhart, the Dancing Bear, had a ton of tackles for loss tonight. Lee Koba, Steady Eddie in the middle, and even we had a Lance Dixon sighting. I mean, it was just all hands on deck today for that defense. Extremely proud of those guys. Can't wait to see them again next week and see how they perform against a better offense. David, he had 105 yards, I believe it was. And Trey Lathan, yeah, I mentioned him earlier. It's hard to remember everybody, Bass Hunter. I think he's fine. He was running around on the sidelines. I think he'll be okay. We'll see. He was running tough tonight. Yeah, he got to call some plays at the end of the game last week, Krista. So I agree. I'm not sure why they didn't do him tonight. I guess it's just an extension of the run game. Might as well run it. But there was a couple, plays calls tonight. Not as many as last week that I was like, what are you doing? So, I'm just kind of done watching. I'd love to see the downfield passing game improve a lot. I'm kind of done watching the to the boundaries type passes on third, second down. I'd love to see it go downfield a little bit more. That's this offense, though, John, and it's what's one of the things I was just talking about. If, let's say we win 8 games, that's what we're signing up for, is this kind of offense. It's not going to be different. Um, so I don't know, man. That's why Rich Rod's offense was so exciting. Can you imagine if Rich Rod had this team, guys, what he would do with this team, this offensive line? Garrett Green at quarterback, even though I don't know if he would hold up like Pat White did. Pat was just a different breed. But even Garrett or even Nico could run it well enough. And then you think about these guys. Jalen Anderson would be great for it, that offensive scheme. CJ be great for it. Got me thinking about the old days. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna cut it off here at 34 minutes. I know it's only been 34 minutes, but it's late. I've been up all day. I think a lot of us are tired. If you have anything last minute you want to talk about in the comment section, I would certainly accept a super chat. Stay online. Otherwise, I'm going to get some sleep, guys. It's been a long night. West Virginia Mountaineers, man. It's a great night to be a Mountaineer. What's up, Coos? You came in late, brother. I know you had a hell of a time tonight. Awesome, man. So, West Virginia Mountaineers won 17-6. It probably could have been more. The defense showed out. They showed up. The offense was steady Eddie. The offensive line was great. I think we're all really excited and curious to see what that's going to look like against Texas Tech come next week. So hopefully all goes well with that. If you guys don't have anything else for me, this has been another edition of Mountaineer Paul Talks Football, guys. I'm on my way to bed, and this episode is over. I'm out. Good night, Coos.